Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy and I'm the knitter behind Knitting Matters, and I love to watch all things knitting. I love to talk about all things knitting, and this is a traditional knitting style podcast update. So if you are interested in my finished items, what I've been making, patterns that I'm interested in, and what is upcoming for me, then do just keep watching. So the first thing that I want to talk about is what I'm wearing, and this is the Frankie sweater by Sandnes Garn. Sandnes Garn, as many of you will probably know, is a Norwegian knitwear company. They produce an amazing array of yarns, but also an incredible array of patterns. I'm very attracted to the Scandinavian knitting style, and I really enjoy these booklets. So this one is called Soft for Women. It's 2202 and was, I believe it was released in a few years ago. This isn't a new booklet. I know some people struggle to get hold of these booklets, particularly if they're outside Europe, but fortunately I live inside Europe and these are quite often in stock in UK suppliers for Sandnes Garn yarns. So I've got quite a few of them, and I know I did a search last week, and this particular book is also in stock with quite a few suppliers, so if you're interested, it is available. What drew me particularly to this book is that there are several patterns in here that I like the look of, but the one is the Frankie sweater, which is what this model is wearing on the front cover. Now I love the colour of this yarn that she's wearing, but I just don't think it looks good on me. I think I don't suit bright colours. Anything that has the word muted or is a greyish or of a cool tone, then definitely those are colours that I tend to gravitate towards. So much as I'm attracted to this beautiful, absolutely stunning jelly bean green here, I think they might have discontinued this colour, this particular colour actually, but much as I'm attracted to it, I chose to knit it in the shade 4333, which I believe is called Rose. It might be Dusty Rose or Old Rose, but it's definitely Rose. And I knit it in the yarn Cos, which is the recommended yarn. So with many of these booklets, they give you several variations of the pattern, usually in different gauges for the different types of yarn that they have. So the Frankie sweater is available in the brushed alpaca, and so they have a gauge available for that one, but the one I chose to make was the Cos one. There's another picture of it which is just absolutely gorgeous. So it is a top-down construction made with a, I think it's called a compound raglan, which is where the raglan increases are not symmetrical. So some on some of the raglans let me try and find one. On some of the raglans, the increases are on the body, but not on the sleeves. And on others, the increases are on the sleeves, but not on the body. So it gives this sort of asymmetric raglan shaping. So like I said, knit top down with the compound raglan. And then there is, let me put that out the way. Then there is a very small portion of stockinette after you join in the round. I think it's about 10 centimetres. And the rest of the sweater is just miles and miles of twisted rib, which I really enjoy the way twisted rib looks. And I actually don't mind knitting it either. So my knitting style is English. I'm an English thrower. Usually I have the dominant yarn in my right hand. I do flirt with continental knitting sometimes, and when I'm just doing a sea of stockinette, I may knit continental style. But my mother tongue of knitting styles, if you will, the one that I learnt with, is English style throwing. So when you're doing something like twisted rib, it actually, the way that you change the motion in your hands is very small. So I found it very comfortable. I really enjoy doing it, and I really enjoy the way that it looks. So, excuse me, I haven't been very well, and I've got this legacy cough that just won't go away. So you have a really good depth of twisted rib, which on me starts just below my bust line and is the rest of the sweater. And then it also has this really deep cuff of twisted rib on the sleeves as well. So the yarn I used was Cos, which is a blown alpaca yarn. Here, this is all I have left over. So I had 8 balls and this is the 8th. So I used, what, 7 and maybe 7/8. I'll weigh it so that you can see what's left over of this one, but I didn't use much of the 1/8 ball of yarn. So it is a blown alpaca yarn, which I don't think it's picking up. You have with blown alpaca, you have a nylon chain that runs through the center of the yarn, and the alpaca fibers are like, they're blown through, and they cling on. So it gives this beautiful sort of fuzzy halo. You can see it really clearly with my sofa in the background there. You can see this lovely fuzzy halo, which I really love the look of that. I find it has just ever such a slight itch here. So I do find when I'm wearing it, I will do this once or twice, but it doesn't bother me that much. I've got other sweaters that bother me more. And I'm wearing this with a short sleeve tank underneath, so there's nothing on my arms, and I don't find it itchy on my arms at all. So it's just every now and then, and it's not all the time either, it's just when it bothers me. So I cast this on Valentine's Day. I thought it would be quite romantic to knit myself a little Valentine's gift from me to me, and to cast on a beautiful pink sweater on Valentine's Day. And I cast it off, I think it was maybe the 11th of March or the 12th of March, around that time. So it took me about 4 weeks to make it, which is about average for me. You know, I work full time and I've got 2 small children, so I don't have a huge amount of knitting time. But I was pleased with how quickly I managed to get this one. It felt like it went quite quickly because it was just not a complex pattern. So yeah, that is my Frankie sweater. It is my first finished item that I want to share this week, and I really, really adore it. I will put some footage in here of me wearing it full body length so you can see kind of how it hangs on my body. I did forget to mention that it's designed to be worn with about 35 centimetres of positive ease, which I didn't want that much positive ease. So I normally knit a large, sometimes I'll knit an extra large in a pattern because I have a bust circumference of around 104 centimetres, and I like my sweaters to have a circumference of around 120 centimetres. For me, that's the sweet spot of where I feel comfortable. So I will knit whichever pattern gives me that size when I'm done. But with this one, there's only 3 sizes. There's small, medium and large, because the positive ease range is so big. Like 35 centimetres is a lot of positive ease. So I knit the medium size, which is nice. It's got just the right amount of positive ease that I like in a sweater. So I don't think I would want to have 35 centimetres positive ease. I will say that the positive ease is disproportionate, so the amount that I have on my body is a lot more than the amount that I have on my sleeves, which is quite little in comparison to like the amount that I have here. Doesn't bother me particularly, and actually I think it gives quite a nice silhouette when I'm stood there, but perhaps something to consider. Maybe I've just got big arms. I've never really thought of my arms as being big, but I don't know, maybe I have. But yeah, perhaps that's something to consider. So all in all, that is my first finished item. That is the Frankie sweater by Sandnes Garn, and a big thumbs up from me. The next 2 finished items I actually don't have here to show you because I've already gifted them away. So I will put some pictures in here. The first was an Oslo hat that I knit for my goddaughter. I knit it in Drops Daisy in the colour, I believe it was ice blue. So I hadn't quite finished it. We went away for half term, which started on the 14th of February, and we were away for a week. We went down to Devon. And they joined us on that trip, and I hadn't quite finished it in time to gift it to her when we left, but I think I finished it. So we left on the Saturday. I think I finished it on the Sunday or maybe the Monday, blocked it while we were there, and I gifted it to her. And she wore it the whole of the week, and there was something so special about the fact that we went out on these we went to Croyd in North Devon, which was absolutely beautiful. We went on lots of coastal walks, and actually seeing all 3 of the girls wearing their little hats that I had made them And then their mum and I were also wearing our Oslo hats, and it was just a really special, it was really special because my kids were wearing their Oslo hats, her kids were wearing the Oslo hats, so there was like all these Oslo hats that I'd made, and it was really, for me as the person who made them all, it was really special. So yeah, loved that. But yes, I've spoken about the Oslo hat so many times before that I don't want to go over old territory, but it's an amazing pattern, fit her really beautifully. I made a size down because I did make her one for Christmas, but it just was too big. When I blocked it, it grew so much more than the other ones did. So yeah, she loved it, I loved it, it's all good. And that was my second finished item. My third finished item I also don't have to show you, but it is the Cleo set by PetiteKnit. Now this, oh my goodness, made my ovaries sparkle so much while I was making it, and it just took me back to the days of knitting for my own children when I was pregnant, and all those good feelings that you get. Maybe you don't get, but I got them. So I knit them in leftover yarn that I had from when my children were little. So I don't really have a stash of baby yarn per se, but I do have leftover yarn that I bought specifically to make my children things and then just didn't get around to making them. So I made it in this Debbie Bliss Cashmerino. This is really old, so the button band may well have changed by now. This, I believe, is in the colour Ecru. Yes, it is. It's the colour Ecru, so a slightly off-white cream colour. And this is the colour that I used for the main cardigan, trouser and hat combo. And the contrast colour is the same yarn, but it is, I think it's called Mink. I'm pretty sure it's called Mink. So it's a combination of 55% wool, 33% acrylic and 12% cashmere. Oh, that's interesting. I always thought it had a bit of merino in there. Unless the 55% wool is merino wool. That could be it. Because otherwise, why would they call it cashmerino? I think the 55% wool is merino. It certainly feels like it's merino. I think it's superwash merino, a bit of cashmere and a bit of acrylic. But either way, it's a great baby yarn because it's machine washable and also it's so soft. Like, I cannot tell you how deliciously soft this yarn is. I bought a lot of it and I knit with this a lot when my children were babies, and I used to get it from my local yarn store, but really quickly, sort of all of a sudden, Debbie Bliss disappeared out of all of the yarn stores that I normally frequented and only appears online. So you can still get it, but it's online only. I think it's Lovecrafts is the website that you can get it on, but anyway, that's enough about the yarn. So the pattern is just adorable, and I forgot how quickly baby knits grow. I think because they're so little, it takes hardly any knitting time to look like you've made a whole garment. So it's a beautiful top-down cardigan. I did the sleeves on double-pointed needles, which I think you'd have to because they're so little. And then it has, you sort of pick up for the neck edge and for the button band, but actually it's just plain stockinette. So the curling that fabric naturally happens with that fabric, it adds to the aesthetic, and I just think it looks super cute. Gives this really soft edge around the baby's neck and just looks adorable, really practical. I used cardigans with my babies all the time. My plan was just to make the cardigan, but that flew off the needles really quickly, and then I thought, well, I think I'd quite like to make the hat as well. So then I made the little hat, and again, that was so adorable to make. It was just so cute, and grew really quickly. And then I thought, well, I might as well make the trousers. So I did. I made the little trousers, I put the elastic in, and I used the Mink for the contrast colour for the pom-pom on the hat and for the waistband on the trousers. And I think it looks super cute. I've still got quite a lot left. I wrote the exact quantities of each colour that I used on my Ravelry notes, just for myself in case I make this again for people in the future, which I think I probably will because it's honestly such an adorable pattern. But I'm thinking I might use my leftover mink to make maybe some mittens or some booties or something. Haven't completely decided yet, but I haven't ruled it out either. So yes, I made this little set for a baby, my friend's baby. She's due any day now, so I'm waiting with bated breath for the news that the little one has made a safe arrival. So yeah, that was my, I mean, I'm calling it my third finished item, but technically it's my third, fourth and fifth. But yeah, that is the Cleo baby set by PetiteKnit. So that is all of my finished items for this month, which I was quite pleased with. I felt like I had a really productive month. And I did also, don't have it here to show you right this moment, but I did also install the zip on my daughter's zipper sweater. So in the last episode, I think I showed you her zipper sweater, but it didn't have the zip installed. So I have done that as well. So, and she wore that all the time when we went, especially when we went away, because when the coast, I don't know if it's the same everywhere else, but certainly in the UK, the coast is so windy and tends to be feel a bit colder than when you're further inland. So because we were spent a lot of time on the beaches and doing coastal walks, she had it on all the time. My son had his zipper sweater on all the time, and everyone, yeah, really appreciated their zipper sweaters, which was amazing. But I have 2 works in progress. They're not new, so you've seen both of these already. So the first one is my Moby sweater. This one, I think the last time I showed it to you, I had only just joined in the round, but as you can see, I've done a lot more of the body on this one. So you have to excuse my markers. There's the chart is like 10. Oh, it just helps me to keep count. 8 cable twists takes you back to the beginning of the chart again. So that's just how I'm keeping count. So I have 7 plain, and the 8th one is this little cactus, and then I will move the first one down when I've done the next. It's just how I keep track of where I am. So excuse my little markers, but so it's a top down. You start with the back yoke, and you knit this lovely faux cable traveling stitches pattern. It has these lovely columns of, this is a twisted knit stitch and then garter stitch rows before you get to the just a regular cable, like a main cable, and then it's framed in this moss stitch, or I would call that double moss stitch. I think I need to brush up. I think these stitches have got different names in different places. I would call this double moss stitch because it's 2 by 2. I think some people would call that just regular moss stitch. To me, that's not moss stitch. I think seed stitch is moss stitch, but either way, that's what's on the side of it. So you knit the back panel and then you pick up for the shoulders here. I spent quite a long time trying to make sure that mine were completely aligned because I'm fussy like that, and I think I ripped it back a couple of times just to make sure that everything is aligned, and I think I've got it as good as I can, and I think once I've blocked it, that should be okay. I haven't done the collar yet, and I'm looking forward to doing the collar because I always think a sweater starts to look more like a sweater when it's actually got a collar, but I haven't got that far yet. So this is where we're at with her. So I'm really excited about how it's looking and how it's feeling. I'm knitting it with, let me get the yarn. So I'm using the Sandnes Garn Sunday and the matching Tynn Silk Mohair, and this is in the colour Almond, which is 2511. So this is a PetiteKnit shade called Almond. I think, having spent a lot of time already making this, I think it leans a little bit too yellow for my complexion, but I also don't really care about it that much. I think I'm just going to go with it and love my sweater because I've poured so much time and love and energy into her. Yeah, so I'm going to keep going a little bit longer. I need to address my tension on these cables because they're not sitting as nicely as I would like them to. My right-leaning cables, my right-leaning cables are beautiful, but my left-leaning ones look a bit saggy, so I think I need to brush up on my tension there. Hopefully that'll correct a bit with a bit of blocking, but either way. So I'm holding those two yarns together. They're super duper soft. I'm really pleased with the progress I'm making, and I've got just a little bit more of the body to go before I can start the ribbing. So yeah, I've picked this one back up, and honestly, I just love this pattern. I feel like I get into a bit of a trance when I'm knitting this one, because I don't need to look at the what's it called, the charts so much, because I've got the pattern pretty much memorized now, and I'm keeping count with my little stitch markers, so I know where I am at any given time and when I need to cable. So we cable every 10th row, which is why I'm using my, ooh, what's happened there? I've got all tangled up, hang on. So we cable every 10th row, so I'm using my row counter. So I've done row 8, I'm currently doing row 9, so I know after row 9 then I will need to do my cable twist here again. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this because I don't need to think about it too much. It looks really intimidating, like when you see it and you see that there's multiple charts that you have to follow, it does look really intimidating. My system is, I think, just helps me because I know that I'm not losing count. Every 10th row I need to cable, so I'm using my, which I've managed to get tangled again. So I'm using my, I normally use this one for sleeves. So when it says decrease every 7th row, that's normally when I use these. But because I'm cabling every 10th row, one of these little row counters is incredibly helpful, because it means I don't have to keep looking at the pattern. I can just keep on going. So yeah, that's my Moby sweater. I'm really enjoying making it. I cannot wait for it to be finished, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish it just in time for the summer weather when I'm not going to be able to wear it because it's going to be too hot. But that doesn't matter. It'll be gorgeous for the winter and for the autumn. So yeah, that is my Moby sweater by PetiteKnit. The other whip that I have is another PetiteKnit pattern. This is one that I have knit twice already. I have knit, so it is the Louvre sweater by PetiteKnit. I've made one in Drops Lima in the shade, I think it's Rust, or maybe Brick Red, but it's a orangey colour, really lovely orangey colour. And the other one that I have made is in Knit Picks palette, but I held it double, so that's a fingering weight yarn, and I held 2 strands together to get the double knit gauge. This one I am making in the West Yorkshire Spinners Fleece Aran weight, and it's in the shade Clouster, and it is this really beautiful sort of beige background with flecks of purple and like a steel grey all the way through it. Maybe I'll show you the ball, maybe that would be helpful. So this is what it looks like wound, so you can see all those flecks of blues and purples that run all the way through. So with this one, there's an Italian cast on, or a tubular cast on for the collar to make it nice and stretchy, and then a decent, it's like a turtleneck style. Ow, just hit myself. So it's a turtleneck style. And I really like that. I really like to have lots of things covering my neck and chest because I always feel cold. So hence why this is my 3rd time making this same pattern. And this one has even raglan increases. So you increase with the sleeves at the same rate as you do for the body until you get quite low down, and then you increase for the body only, and you stop increasing for the sleeves. But I think the last time I showed it to you, again, I had only just joined in the round, and I have done a few more centimetres on that now. So this is a really easy, mindless, don't need to think about it, just put the telly on, because I can do stocking stitch without necessarily looking at what I'm doing. So this is one of my favourite PetiteKnit patterns, and I can see myself making loads of these in all different colours because it's just such a lovely wardrobe staple that I really enjoy wearing. I really enjoy the fit. I think I can't remember what size I made. Again, it'll either be the large or the extra large, but it'll be whichever one has a bust circumference of around 120 centimetres. That's the one that I'm making. Yeah, and not much more to say about that one. So I've got the stitches on hold for the sleeves, and I think I'm almost at the end of one of my balls of yarn here. So I think when I get to the end, oh, it's all falling apart. So when I get to the end of this one, I might be tempted to do the sleeves next, but yeah, that is my Louvre sweater by PetiteKnit. So I mentioned that I went away for a week, and honestly, it was the most wholesome knitting week ever. I had such an amazing time. So it started on Valentine's Day, where I had a gift from my husband to go to the National Wool Museum in West Wales, which is in Carmarthen, and he had booked me onto one of their spinning courses that they had. So it was a whole day course, and they taught us all about how to prepare the fleece for spinning, how to card it, and then the really fun bit was actually how to make your own yarn, so how to spin your own yarn. And we got to have a go. Oh, actually, where is my yarn? I'm going to go and get it to show you. So I actually managed to leave with 2 little balls of yarn that I managed to spin while I was there. So this is all Welsh fleece. It came from not far from where we live, and you are gonna laugh if you're good at spinning. You're gonna laugh at my my efforts here, because you can see it is crazy. We have some that really thin bits, some really thick bits, some bits that haven't really been spun very well at all. But either way, I am really proud of the fact that I managed to spin and ply my yarn in one day. So yeah, there are a few little cosmetic issues going on, but hey, let's see. You can see the texture is so lumpy and bumpy. But I had such a lovely time doing it. I think once I'd managed to, oh, there you go. There's an example of where I hadn't really spun it at all, but hey, it's yarn. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know what I could make with such a small quantity of yarn. I'm going to have a think on that, but I'm really proud of the fact that I made something, and I just really enjoyed doing it. Once I'd managed to wrap my head around how to use the spinning wheel and how to coordinate my hands and my feet at different ways in different times, and how to get the wheel to spin one way and then get it to spin the other way. Once I'd figured all of that out, it was so relaxing and so mindful, and so like the rhythm of the wheel and working with my hands was just so amazing. The only thing is, now I want to do that as well, and I feel like I've got enough hobbies. But yes, I will definitely be keeping my eyes peeled for a spinning wheel on, you know, Facebook Marketplace or any kind of secondhand spinning, because I just had such a lovely time. And honestly, I would highly recommend it, even if you don't really want to take up spinning as an activity. It was just a really nice way to spend the day. And at one point I remember saying to the instructor, I was like, I just want to say I'm having a really lovely day. And she looked at me and went, are you being serious or are you joking? I'm like, no, I'm being deadly serious. Honestly, I am having a lovely, lovely day. It was such a good gift. Oh, and it was hilarious because my husband booked it as a gift for me. They'd prepared all the name tags for us, and clearly I wasn't the only one whose partner or friend or someone had booked it on someone else's behalf, because we got there and there was a room full of women and all of the name tags were like Mark, Ben, David, because they'd prepared the name tags for the people who'd booked the activity. So I thought that was quite funny. And because of course none of us we all had different names. Like my name was Amy, but Ben had booked it for me. So anyway, so yeah, that was a really great start to my half-term week. And also in that class we did a bit of weaving, which was really fun as well. You can tell I am new at this because I've got really uneven, this bit's really long and this bit's really short, but I'm going to weave these bits in and then have this on my table where I can put my hot pots and pans on it. So I think that's what it's going to be, because it's too small to be much else. But I'm going to weave in the ends here and yeah, and felt it, and then hopefully that'll be a nice heat protector for my table. And we used all natural yarns for here. So we've got some Blueface Leicester, we've got some Corriedale, we've got some, what else was on here? Oh gosh, I can't remember, but all different shades. And I really love the way that the natural shades go together. I think they look really pretty. So yeah, that was the other thing that I did. And then while we were away in Devon, I emailed the John Arbon Textiles company and asked if I could come and have a look at their warehouse. So they have, it's on the middle of an industrial estate, but they have, so John Arbon Textiles is a company based in Devon in the UK, and they pride themselves on being all British, and they have the machines where they prepare, spin, card, everything, all of their own yarns. I really like the John Arbon Textiles yarns, and I've been buying them for quite a long time. The knit by numbers, I noticed they have changed the composition of them. That it used to have a lot more merino in it, and now it's a blend of merino. But regardless, it's still a really lovely yarn, and the choice of colours that is available on the John Arbon Knit by Numbers, particularly the Knit by Numbers range, is absolutely phenomenal. So I really strongly or highly recommend that you do that. Anyway, Donna got back to me because I wanted to go to the shop and have a look at the yarns, because although they have this incredible array on their website, I was really struggling to pick a colour. So I asked if I could go along to their shop, which happily Donna replied and said, yes, of course you can. So that was amazing, because I really want to knit the Amy sweater. So it's a really stupid reason. The only reason I want to knit the Amy sweater is because I'm called Amy, and I know that that's a really stupid reason, but I really do. And the sample that PetiteKnit has is, again, this really beautiful, stunning green. But I wasn't confident that that green would look good on my body, so I wanted to go and just try a couple of their greens. My suspicions were correct. I held the bright green up and it just didn't look quite right, but I did buy yarn. So this is the shade that I picked in the end. It's number 44 and it's the double knit weight. So it's 50% Blueface Leicester and 50% merino, and I think it used to be 100% merino, but either way, it's still super duper soft. You get 223 meters per skein, and they come in 100 gram skeins. So I got, I think 7 of these. The yarn, oops, I'm holding it upside down. The yarn itself is slightly thinner than Peer Gynt, which is the recommended yarn for the Amy sweater. So I did a quick bit of maths while I was there and thought I'm going to have to size up needles wise in order to get gauge. So if I'm going to size up needles wise, I'm going to need a bit extra. My calculation said I'd probably need 600 grams of this yarn, but I bought 700 because I thought that that would be what I would need. So Donna helped me to pick out this green, which of all the greens that they had, I felt that this was the best green for me. Actually, it's a really similar colour to my sofa, isn't it? So yeah, green isn't a colour that I knit with a lot. It's not a colour that I wear a lot. But I really want to love green. So I think this was the best green that I could find for myself. So I picked this up, and she gave me this really cute little bag to put it in. But I also picked up, while I was there, some sock yarn. This is the Exmoor 4-ply, and it's a 50 gram hank. So you needed 2, 1 for each sock. 60% Exmoor Bluefaced, 20% Corriedale, and 10% nylon. And you get 200 meters for a 50 gram skein. So 90% British wool and then 10% nylon. And I got this really cute, beautiful, I absolutely adore colours like these, this lovely sort of berry colour. I don't know what it's called. Oh, Bell Heather. There we go. Bell Heather, that's the colour I got. So hopefully this will become a pair of socks at some point. But it was really amazing. So I couldn't go and have a look actually in the mill while it was working, but I did look through the window, and Donna, lovely Donna, was talking me through sort of the process a little bit while I was there as well. And it was just so amazing. Like when you walked into the warehouse, you could literally smell the sheepy smell. I loved it. Yeah, and you could hear the noise of the machines working in the background. So highly recommending that if you're ever near Exmoor in Devon and you fancy going and doing that, then honestly, the team there were amazing. And I'm really looking forward to seeing them at Wonderwall this year. I really hope to go and be able to see them again. So, but that wasn't it. So then also on my way home, we stopped off at... But that wasn't it for my knitting week. We then, on the way home from Devon, on the way back, we stopped off at Cold Harbour Mill, which I think I'm right in saying, if it's not the oldest working wool mill in the UK, it's certainly one of the oldest running. So they still have all of their machines from like the 1788, the factory, well, the mill was set up by these brothers, and they still have a lot of the original machinery. Now, obviously, they added the machines through the years as technology advanced, but they still have all of their old machinery and it still works, and they still use it to produce not a huge amount of yarn, but they still use it to produce yarn. So I found it absolutely fascinating. I was learning all about the difference between worsted and woolen wools. I'll see if I can put some images here. I took loads of pictures of machines that, you know, prepare the fleece, that card the fleece. Then there was lots of spinning machines, and then it would go into this spinning machine. And then there were big industrial looms where they were weaving lots of different fabrics. They had some really beautiful tartan patterns that were inspired by the landscape in Devon, which I completely fell in love with. And I'll run through what those are, but it, you know, in the tartans, they were like the orange or the beige represents the sand of the beach, and the green represents the grass on Dartmoor, and the blue represents the sea off the coast of I can't remember all of them exactly, but I'll pop them in here. And it just was really nostalgic and really beautiful, and I just had a really lovely day. So then, of course, as we were leaving, I couldn't help myself. I had to buy some of the yarn that they had produced. So what did I go for? I went for this 100% Blueface Leicester in the colour Timber. So they had 100 gram hanks and 50 gram hanks. These ones are in the same dye lot. So I got 150 grams because this should be enough to make myself a hat, maybe a weekend hat, maybe an Oslo hat. Maybe I'll go out there and do a different pattern, maybe a Musselburgh or something. But either way, this is going to be a hat. And I bought the little Blueface Leicester bundle, which has mini skeins of, so Timber, this is the colour of the hat that I bought. Then there's this lighter beige, a white, and a, oh goodness, what would you call this? I'm not sure what you would call this, but it's both of those colours mixed together. And I think I might make myself a pair of mittens with these. Haven't fully decided, but I know that I want to make something to remind me of my time in Cold Harbour Mill. So I had a lot of yarn acquisitions just because I really wanted to remember my holiday. So I started knitting this at the very beginning of the week while we were away, and I knit on this mostly throughout the week while we were there. And I managed to purchase lots of yarn to keep me entertained, to remind me of my holiday. So I just had a really lovely nostalgic time. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything else really that I want to say about my week away, only that just to say there's some amazing things for knitters, places to go and see and explore. So yeah, do definitely recommend going to Cold Harbour Mill. That was amazing. It was such a good day out. And even my husband and my children didn't whinge about it at all. For them, it didn't feel like they were going to do something knitting related. They were just going for a day out. You know, we took a picnic. My husband is really interested in like machinery and engineering, so he found that side of it really interesting. My children were really interested in how things are made, so sheep, wool, fabric, and I'm interested in all of it, of course. But so yeah, I think that pretty much sums up my acquisitions really. And that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you for this episode. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And I really hope, yeah, do let me know what you're working on in the comments. I always love to hear from you, and I really hope that you're all okay. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.